All right, you nerds and you snot-flinging punks, sit on down for another session or another class. Sorry, another class of. The hell am I trying to say? Another session of film class. There we go, everyone. But in like normal film class, this is where I talk about stuff about movies and such. However, today is not a lesson. Today is one of those. What did I watch last night? So, last night on the television, this is a segment where basically I watch a movie the night before, a couple nights before, and while it's still fresh in my head, I give a little bit of a review about it. And also, spoilers ahead, normally I will do movies that are older, so if you haven't seen a movie, this movie came out in 2014, if you haven't seen a movie that came out in 2014 and you're gonna get up with me, calm down. Now, this movie is one I wanted to watch for a long time. I wanted to watch it when it came out and never got around to it. This movie is called Predestination. Again, came out in 2014. Directors are Michael and Peter Spearig. They've directed Winchester and Daybreakers. Now, Winchester I have not seen, I've been meaning to though, but Daybreakers is one of my favorite all-time movies ever. It's one of my favorite vampire movies ever made. The directors also wrote this. However, I didn't realize that it's based on a short story called All You Zombies by Robert A. Heinlein. And the cinematographer is Ben Knott, who worked on Winchester, this movie called The Lovers, starring Josh Hartnett, which I've also been meaning to watch, Daybreakers, and See No Evil, which is that horror movie with the wrestler Kane. This movie, it stars Ethan Hawke as a character called the Barkeep, Sarah Snook as a character called the Unmarried Mother, and Noah Taylor as a character called Mr. Robertson. Little synopsis. For his final assignment, a top temporal agent must pursue the one criminal that has eluded him throughout time. The chase turns into a unique, surprising, and mind-bending exploration of love, fate, identity, and time travel taboos. I will be straight up honest with you. I was not prepared for this goddamn movie. So I saw this movie, and it's about, again, Ethan Hawke is a time-traveling agent cop kind of guy hunting down a bomber. I thought this movie was going to be a little bit more actiony, blah, 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 a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's not. It's very noir, which I was not super expecting. So also I watched this movie in black and white. That's something I like to do, where I'll watch a movie for the first time, or a movie I've watched millions of times before, but I'll turn the color off and watch it in black and white. And the reason I do this is because it changes the cinematography and the color contrast drastically. And you can tell certain movies actually paid attention to when they were doing color and shading and editing and framing of shots by how much shadow and darkness they actually have. Because I watched one movie and it had like no darkness in it whatsoever and no contrast on the characters. It was a very flat movie. A lot of comedies are like that. But anyways, this one, turn it down to black and white, and it looks amazing. The black looks so crisp and the white stands out, and all the details. So the main reason I do this is because the details pop differently in black and white. So I watched it in black and white, which added a lot to the noir-esque feeling that this movie was already giving me. And I thought was really freaking cool. So the movie is about, and again, there will be a spoiler, so if you don't want any spoilers for this movie, don't watch this video, no problem. Go watch it, though. It's leaving Hulu soon, so watch it now. But the movie follows Ethan Hawke, and the first scene shows Ethan Hawke trying to disarm a bomb. The bomb explodes, catches his face on fire, and gets facial reconstruction, so now he looks like Ethan Hawke. Then he goes on a time-traveling adventure, and he meets this person at a bar. And this is where the movie took me for a loop, because I did not know this is where the movie was going to go. This is not what I thought it was about. But he meets this person at the bar, and this person at the bar says, I can tell you the most interesting story if you give me and if I tell you the most interesting story, you have to give me the bottle that I'm drinking for free. It's a big, big bottle. And this movie then goes on to explain that this person that he's talking to was, they were born a girl, went to an orphanage, then when they got older, they tried to join the space program because they wanted to go to space. But the space program that they were in was actually like a cover-up for this time-traveling temporal agency. However, this girl ends up getting pregnant, the guy leaves her, and while she gives birth, you discover that she was born with both female and male organ genitalia and everything. So when she gave birth, unfortunately, that destroyed her woman genitalia. So they had to basically force her into becoming a man. So then the rest of the movie, the rest of that character arc follows how she went from being a really like odd, kind of a dork, kind of a, like a little outsider girl, transforming herself into a man. And then from there, she's talking to Ethan Hawke, and Ethan Hawke's like, "Oh yeah, that's a crazy story." And he's like, "But what if I could give you the guy who abandoned you?" Because that's the whole thing here, is the guy who got her pregnant ruined her life, because she got pregnant and then she lost the ability of being a woman, and she had to become a man, and all this stuff happened. And then the baby that she gave birth to ended up getting kidnapped from the hospital, and she thinks it's the guy who got her pregnant. So then Ethan Hawke, of course, explains to her that he can time travel, he has a time travel. Also, the time traveling device is a violin case. I thought that was really, really artsy and really fucking cool. So he explains to her that, explains to them that they are a time traveling agency and they want to hire this person. At this time, they are a male and they go by the name John. So Ethan Hawke takes them back in time, puts them back in this certain era, but then you discover that the man who got her pregnant was themselves. Because they, of course, go over to where she first meets the father of the baby, and it turns out to be themselves. So then you discover that the female Jane, who she was, falls in love with the male version John of who they become in the future. So now it's this weird, crazy story of how they bane themselves, they have sex with themselves. And then this is when the story was just blowing my mind, because I was like, oh my god, it's all crazy. Like, they're their own thing. So then, of course, she gives birth, and the baby gets yoinked. The baby gets yoinked by Ethan Hawke. But then you see Ethan Hawke go back further in time and give that baby to the orphanage where the mom was abandoned. And then it's revealed, guys, it's revealed that she gives birth to herself. Because the baby that Ethan Hawke drops off at the orphanage is the baby that grows up to become Jane, and then Jane ends up becoming John. John goes back in time and has sex with Jane, so then Jane gives birth to Jane. I have no fucking idea. This movie was blowing my fucking mind. I was like, whoa! But then it gets even crazier, because then it starts revealing what I had always... because it starts like hinting, because this bomber, this guy is called the Fizzle Bomber. I was like, I bet this Fizzle Bomber is either her or it's Ethan Hawke. Guess what? I was right both times. Because, like I said, the beginning of the movie... Sorry, I gotta move my pop filter for a second. Like I said, the beginning of the movie starts with a bomb explosion that burns off Ethan Hawke's face. Jane becomes John. John becomes the barkeep, aka Ethan Hawke, after he gets his face blown off. So Ethan Hawke is them! So Ethan Hawke is going all this over the place, basically screwing up his own life. And then it's revealed that Ethan Hawke is also the bomber! Future Ethan Hawke is the guy going around blowing shit up! Because he thinks if he blows stuff up early... He has all these clippings of future things that could happen about, like, for instance, he blows up a gun factory because in, like, 5 years, that gun factory, something else happens and 1,000 people die. So he'll blow up 300 people now to save, like, 1,500 later. So he gets all crazy. So the bomber is Ethan Hawke, and Ethan Hawke is John, and John is Jane, and Jane is the baby that Jane is. And it's like, what the fuck? And the whole story is about how... It's the Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, and it's constantly in a loop of just this endless cycle going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it just never stops. And I was blown away by this goddamn movie, and it was so crazy, because at the end, when Ethan Hawke meets the bomber, and it's revealed that the bomber is Ethan Hawke, the bomber's like, to become me, you have to kill me, and since Ethan Hawke is so mad because the bomber ruined his life, he of course shoots him. And the whole, tone of the movie is, what would you do if I could put him in front of you, the man who ruined your life? What would you do? Would you kill, if you can get away with it 100,000,000%, would you kill him? Because that's what he tells John, to bring John back in time to kill the guy who impregnated Jane. But of course, it was John the whole time. And then this movie also has this subtext of fall in love with yourself, because the whole thing is John did not want to look in the mirror, and Jane never looked into the mirror because they did not like who they saw. But when John meets Jane in the past, John falls in love with himself finally. Like, he finally loves himself because he's like, I know everything about you. Someone should have loved you. Someone should have cared for you. And it's actually like really sweet. But, and also they keep doing this thing where a song is playing in the background. Actually, wait, hold on. This is part of like the trivia. Actually, wait, no, I don't have it listed in the trivia. So they have this song playing in the background saying, singing I'm my own grandfather, which they are. They are each other. Like, because Jane is her own mother, but then, and then in John, it's weird because they're all, it's the endless loop. They're all each other's grandparents. They're their own. They're everything. They're every fucking thing. Their mother, father, grandfather, grandma. It's all the same shit. It's just a circle. It was so good. Oh, also, Noah Taylor plays the like handler of. He's like the head of the temple agency. So that was Predestination. It was a fucking wild ass movie. And again, I thought it was gonna be like really actiony. And it wasn't. It was like this love story of you're loving yourself, but then this time agency, it was cool as shit though. But I was like, what the fuck am I watching? But I really liked it. I thought it was wild. Whew, that took a lot of air out of me. Well, so that's Predestination. Came out in 2014. So let's go ahead and start reading some trivia here. And I thought the trivia about this was really, really cool. Many lines of the dialogue in the film are copied faithfully from Robert A. Heinlein's source story, All You Zombies, which I think is actually really cool. I love when people adapt things and they actually keep it faithfully. In the early bar scenes when Ethan Hawke is talking to John, each time the camera looks at Ethan, the angle changes slightly. Sometimes the gentleman restroom sign is above Ethan's head, and sometimes it's the ladies' bathroom sign, foreshadowing the final plot twist. And I did not notice that, and I was like, that's really fucking cool. I like that. That's clever. When Jane's baby is snatched, John describes the snatcher having a face shaped like yours and mine. This is foreshadowing that they're the same person. I thought this one was really cool. When John gives a flame for Jane's cigarette. Wait, hold on. Actually, I think this piece of trivia is incorrectly typed. It says when John gives a flame for Jane's cigarette, they have the same lighter, which provides further clues that they're the same person. What I think this is supposed to say is when Ethan gives a flame for John's cigarette. Because when Ethan's the bartender, John's trying to light a cigarette and he can't, so Ethan lights a cigarette for him. But apparently it's the same lighter, showing that they're the same person. I thought that was really cool too, because I didn't catch that. I gotta recommend this movie. I think it's really cool. I spoiled it really bad for you. Like I said, if you didn't want to listen to spoilers, you shouldn't have listened to this. You shouldn't have come to class. Don't come to class if you don't want spoilers. But I gave you some. However, I should say you should still watch this movie because it's interesting. It's interesting and it's cool and it's clever and it's just, I don't know. It's nice to watch a movie that again isn't such a broad spectral thing. It's not like a giant like spectacle. It's very toned down to only like technically 2 characters, right? Like you have Jane and then you have Mr. Robertson. That's it. You really only have like 2 characters. This one character happens to be 4 different people. So I recommend this movie. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. I watched that last night. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was fucking wild. But yeah, stay tuned for more, and I'll see you back in class next time. Thanks.